You want success, but you flinch at pain. You crave results, but you avoid discomfort. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. If it doesn't hurt, it won't change you. Success doesn't come with comfort, it comes with scars. Pain is not a sign you're failing, it's proof you're in the fight. Every level of success demands a payment, and that payment is discomfort, sacrifice, and struggle. There is no shortcut, no discount, no easy version. If you're waiting for it to feel good before you commit, you'll be waiting forever. Growth is violent, transformation is uncomfortable, and discipline hurts long before it pays. The people who win aren't special, they're just willing to endure what others avoid. If you're serious about becoming more, you must accept this truth: pain is not the enemy. Avoiding it is. You want the promise, but you don't want the payment. You want the harvest, but you don't want to touch the soil. And that right there is where most dreams die. Not because people aren't talented, but because they refuse to pay up front. Listen closely. Success does not run a tab. It does not say, I'll let you win now and you can suffer later. No, success is brutal, honest, and immediate. It looks you in the eyes and says, pay me first. Pay me with early mornings when your body is begging for sleep. Pay me with discipline when motivation is nowhere to be found. Pay me with loneliness, sacrifice, and consistency when nobody is clapping for you. And most people walk away at that moment. They say, I'll come back when it's easier. They say, I'll do it when I'm ready. They say, one day. But success doesn't negotiate with excuses. It doesn't wait for perfect timing. It demands commitment before clarity, obedience before results, faith before evidence. Think about it. Every meaningful breakthrough in your life hurt first. Every transformation required discomfort. Muscles don't grow without tearing. Diamonds don't shine without pressure. Character isn't built in comfort, it's forged in pain. And yet we act surprised when success asks the same price. You see, pain is the entrance fee. Pain is the receipt. Pain is proof you showed up. You're not tired because you're doing too much. You're tired because you're doing what matters. You're not overwhelmed because you're weak. You're overwhelmed because you stepped into something bigger than your old self. And instead of running from that feeling, you need to recognize it. That ache, that resistance, that fear, that's the sound of your next level demanding payment. Too many people want results without responsibility. They want elevation without elimination. They want a new life while holding on to old habits. But success doesn't work like that. It says, if you want more, something has to go. And what goes first is comfort. There will be mornings you wake up sore, frustrated, questioning yourself. Nights when you feel alone, unseen, unheard. Days when progress feels invisible. That's not punishment. That's preparation. That's the price being processed. And here's the hard truth. Nobody tells you the pain doesn't stop once you succeed. It just changes. The difference is this: early pain builds you, later pain owns you. Pay now or pay forever. Regret is more expensive than discipline. Stagnation costs more than sacrifice. Wasted potential charges interest. You can either struggle doing the work or struggle wishing you had. One struggle builds strength. The other builds shame. One struggle creates freedom. The other creates chains. Choose wisely. Understand this: when life demands pain up front, it's testing your seriousness. It's asking, are you committed or are you just curious? Curious people quit when it hurts. Committed people lean in. They tighten their grip. They say, if this is the cost, I'll pay it, because they know something others don't. Pain has an expiration date, but quitting lasts forever. There is a version of you on the other side of this discomfort that you have never met. Stronger, sharper, calmer, disciplined, unshakable. But that version doesn't come free. It's purchased through obedience when nobody's watching, consistency when nobody's cheering, and faith when nothing makes sense. So when it gets heavy, don't ask, why is this so hard? Ask, who am I becoming because of this? Because success is not trying to hurt you, it's trying to shape you. It's not punishing you, it's positioning you. And every ounce of pain you endure today is building a tomorrow where you don't have to beg, depend, or settle. Pay the price. Pay it fully. Pay it without apology. It whispers. It slides into your life quietly and convinces you that where you are is good enough. And that whisper has destroyed more futures than failure ever could. See, comfort is dangerous because it feels safe. It doesn't scream at you like pain does. It doesn't wake you up in the middle of the night with fear. It wraps you up, tucks you in, and tells you there's no rush. And slowly, without you noticing, your edge dulls, your hunger fades, your standards drop. Not because you're lazy, but because you got comfortable. And comfort never announces when it becomes a cage. You stop pushing because things aren't that bad. You stop dreaming big because the bills are paid. You stop demanding more from yourself because you're surviving. But here, this clearly survival is not success. Breathing is not living. And just because you're not drowning doesn't mean you're meant to stay floating in the shallow end. Comfort is the real trap because it gives you excuses that sound reasonable. Rest a little longer. Wait until the timing is right. You've already done enough. Enough for who? History is filled with people who could have been great but settled for convenience. People who chose predictable over possible. People who traded potential for peace and ended up with regret instead. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Growth disrupts, it stretches, it burns. The moment you feel uncomfortable is usually the moment you're being called higher. But most people misinterpret that signal. They think discomfort means danger. They think pain means stop, so they retreat back to what's familiar, even when familiar is slowly killing their future. Comfort tells you to stay the same. Purpose demands change. Think about every breakthrough you've ever had. None of it came when you were relaxed. None of it came when you were coasting. It came when you were under pressure, when you had no choice but to adapt, to rise, to fight. Pressure didn't destroy you, it revealed you. But comfort hides you from yourself. It keeps you busy, but not productive. Occupied, but not fulfilled. Safe, but not significant. You can live years in comfort and wake up one day realizing you never truly lived at all. And here's the hardest truth: comfort feels like peace, but it's actually avoidance. It's avoiding the work, avoiding the fear, avoiding the responsibility of becoming who you said you wanted to be. You said you wanted more, but more requires motion, more requires risk, more requires discomfort. You can't grow without friction. You can't sharpen a blade without resistance. You can't become uncommon while choosing what's common and easy. Comfort will let you keep old habits and still feel okay about it. But success demands that you outgrow versions of yourself that once felt normal. That hurts. Letting go hurts. Being misunderstood hurts. Walking alone hurts. But stagnating hurts longer. Understand this: the pain of growth is temporary. The pain of comfort is permanent. One wakes you up early. The other wakes you up too late. And comfort is patient. It'll wait 10 years if you let it. It'll let you trade your fire for routine, your dreams for distractions, your calling for convenience. And one day, when the noise dies down and the excuses stop working, it'll leave you alone with one question you won't be able to answer. What if I had pushed? So if you feel restless right now, good. If you feel uncomfortable, good. If something inside you refuses to settle, that's not weakness. That's your future calling you forward. Don't silence it with comfort. Don't numb it with routine. Don't betray it for ease. Get uncomfortable on purpose. Choose the hard path when the easy one is right there. Do what stretches you, scares you, demands discipline from you. Because comfort may feel good today, but it will cost you everything tomorrow. It's not supposed to feel good in the beginning. If it felt good, everybody would do it. The reason discipline hurts is because it's changing something inside you that's been comfortable for too long. You wake up early when your body is screaming for rest. You show up when nobody is watching. You stay consistent when motivation has packed its bags and disappeared. And in those moments, discipline doesn't feel powerful, it feels painful. But listen to me closely: pain is not punishment. Pain is training. Discipline hurts first because it's breaking a contract you made with your excuses. It's telling the lazy voice in your head, you don't run this anymore. And that voice doesn't go quietly. It fights back. It reminds you of how tired you are, how unfair life feels, how much easier it would be to stop. That's the battle. And most people lose it right there, not because they can't do the work, but because they don't understand the pain. They think discipline is supposed to feel inspiring. They think commitment is supposed to feel exciting. No. Discipline feels heavy before it feels rewarding. The gym hurts before the strength shows up. The sacrifice hurts before the breakthrough comes. The obedience hurts before the freedom arrives. Discipline is doing what you said you would do long after the feeling is gone. And that kind of loyalty to your future self comes at a cost. A real cost: sleep, comfort, entertainment, approval, sometimes relationships. And that's why so few people stay disciplined, because the payment is immediate, but the reward is delayed. We live in a world addicted to instant results. If it doesn't pay quickly, people quit. If it doesn't feel good fast, they assume it's not working. But discipline operates on a different timeline. It's quiet, it's slow, it's invisible at first. And that's why it's powerful. Because discipline builds something deeper than results. It builds identity. Every time you do what's hard instead of what's easy, you're telling yourself, I can be trusted. Every early morning, every rep, every no when you wanted to say yes is laying bricks. You don't see the house yet, but it's being built. Most people quit because they're judging discipline by how it feels instead of what it produces. Let me tell you something real. The pain of discipline is honest. It tells you the truth about where you are and where you need to grow. Regret, on the other hand, lies. It whispers, if only discipline hurts now, regret hurts later, and regret lasts longer. You don't feel like working, do it anyway. You don't feel like studying, do it anyway. You don't feel like staying consistent, do it anyway. Not because you're emotionless, but because your future is more important than your current mood. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And every time you choose now, most slips further away. That's the math nobody wants to do. There will be days when discipline feels lonely, when nobody understands why you're so strict, so focused, so unavailable. They'll say you're doing too much, that you need to relax, that life is meant to be enjoyed. They're not wrong about enjoyment, they're wrong about the timing. You don't enjoy freedom without discipline. You don't enjoy confidence without consistency. You don't enjoy peace without structure. Discipline hurts because it's taking you where your feelings can't carry you. And one day, not today, not tomorrow, one day you wake up and realize something changed. The work feels lighter. The habits feel normal. The standards feel natural. What once hurt now empowers you. That's when discipline starts paying. But it only pays those who stayed long enough to collect. So don't quit because it's uncomfortable. Don't back down because it's heavy. That weight you're carrying is building strength you'll need later. The pain you're feeling is proof you're growing, not failing. Stay disciplined when it's boring. Stay disciplined when it's painful. Stay disciplined when nobody's clapping, because the day discipline stops hurting is the day your life starts changing, and by then, you won't need motivation anymore. Pressure doesn't come to break you. Pressure comes to introduce you to yourself. You don't really know who you are when life is calm, when the money is steady, when people are cheering. Anybody can look confident when conditions are kind. But the real you, the one that matters, shows up when the walls start closing in. When pressure hits, the mask falls. See, pressure has a way of stripping away the talk, the plans, the intentions. It doesn't care about what you meant to do. It only reveals what you're actually willing to do. When things get heavy, excuses don't survive. Comfort doesn't protect you. Titles don't save you. Only character stands. That's why pressure is sacred. Pressure exposes whether your commitment is real or rehearsed. It shows whether your faith is deep or decorative. It reveals if your discipline is built on habit or hype. And most people don't like what they see, so they run from pressure. They avoid challenges. They stay small. They keep life manageable. But manageable lives don't make history. Pressure forces a decision. When everything is on the line, you don't get to pretend anymore. You either rise or you retreat. You either dig deep or you tap out. And in that moment, you meet the truth about yourself, not the version you post, but the version you practice. Pressure doesn't ask, what do you want? It asks, what are you made of? Think about every defining moment in your life. The moments that shaped you didn't come wrapped in comfort. They came with uncertainty, fear, and risk. You didn't grow when life was easy. You grew when you were stretched beyond what you thought you could handle. Pressure didn't destroy you then. It refined you, and it's doing the same thing now. But here's the hard part. Pressure feels personal. It feels unfair. It feels like the weight is targeted, like life chose you. And in a way, it did, because pressure is attracted to potential. You don't put heavy weight on weak structures. You test strength with load. Pressure shows up when you're ready for more, even if you don't feel ready. And instead of asking, why me, you need to ask, what is this trying to reveal? Because pressure doesn't lie. It reveals your priorities. Under pressure, what do you protect? Under pressure, what do you sacrifice? Under pressure, do you pray or do you panic? Do you work or do you wish? Do you stand or do you fold? Pressure tells the truth about your preparation. If you trained in private, pressure will expose power. If you procrastinated, pressure will expose panic. If you build habits, pressure will expose resilience. That's why pressure is a gift. It shows you where you are so you can decide where you're going. Most people say they want greatness, but they want it without the test. They want the crown without the weight. They want the calling without the cost. But pressure is the cost. And without it, you never know if you can actually carry what you're asking for. Pressure doesn't make you weak. It reveals where you're weak so you can strengthen it. And that's where growth lies. Not in denial, not in comfort, but in confrontation, confronting your fear, confronting your habits, confronting the gaps between who you say you are and how you actually live. Pressure forces alignment. It demands that your words match your work. Your faith match your follow through. Your dreams match your discipline. And when they don't, pressure exposes the gap, not to shame you, but to sharpen you. So when life tightens, don't crumble. When expectations rise, don't shrink. When the weight gets heavy, don't drop it. Stand there, breathe, adjust your grip, because the version of you that survives pressure is stronger than the one who avoids it. The version of you that grows under pressure is the one who earns confidence that can't be shaken. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is your mirror. You can't carry everything with you into the next level. Something has to be laid down before something greater can be picked up. And this is where most people get stuck. They want new results, but they refuse to release old routines. They pray for growth, but cling to habits that keep them small. They ask for elevation while holding tightly to comfort, approval, and familiarity. Success doesn't work like that. Growth demands sacrifice, and sacrifice hurts because it's personal. It's not abstract. It's not theoretical. It's not a quote on a wall. Sacrifice is when you have to say goodbye to something you like for something you love. It's when you choose long-term purpose over short-term pleasure, and that choice cuts deep. Because sacrifice always asks the same question: how serious are you? You don't sacrifice what you don't value. You sacrifice what matters to you. That's why it stings. That's why it costs. And that's why it changes you. Every real transformation comes with loss. You lose convenience. You lose comfort. You lose relationships that only work when you stayed the same. You lose versions of yourself that were familiar, even if they were limiting. And that loss feels like pain because it is pain. But hear this clearly, that pain is not destruction. It's separation. It's separating who you were from who you're becoming. You cannot grow while holding on to everything. Your hands get full. Your focus gets divided. Your energy gets drained. And then you wonder why you're tired, why you're stuck, why progress feels slow. It's because you're trying to drag your past into a future it doesn't belong in. Sacrifice is letting go with intention. It's waking up earlier when you'd rather sleep. It's turning down distractions when everyone else is indulging. It's choosing discipline when nobody is forcing you to. It's walking alone when the crowd wants you comfortable. That's the price. And it's not optional. You don't get to keep the habits that built the old life and expect a new one to appear. You don't get to carry fear, laziness, and excuses into greatness. Something has to die for something else to live. That's not punishment. That's order. Think about it. Every level of growth in nature requires shedding. Trees lose leaves. Snakes shed skin, muscles tear before they rebuild stronger. Nothing grows without release. And yet we fight it. We hold on. We negotiate. We say, can I keep this one thing? And that one thing is usually the very thing holding us back. Sacrifice feels unfair because it demands action before reward. You give up time before success shows up. You give up comfort before confidence arrives. You give up validation before visibility comes. And that gap, that waiting season, that's where most people quit. They say, I gave too much and got nothing. No, you planted. And planting always looks like loss before it looks like harvest. Sacrifice tests your faith. Not faith in words, but faith in work. Faith that if you do the right things long enough, something will grow. Faith that what you're releasing will be replaced with something greater. And that's hard when nobody sees it, when nobody understands, when people question your choices, when they say you've changed. Yes, that's the point. You were never meant to stay the same. Sacrifice changes your identity before it changes your situation. It reshapes how you think, how you move, how you respond under pressure. It builds strength where weakness lived. It builds clarity where confusion used to hide. And one day, you look back and realize the thing you were afraid to let go of was the very thing keeping you trapped. But here's the truth you need to hear right now. Sacrifice doesn't steal from you, it invests in you. You're not losing time, you're buying focus. You're not losing comfort, you're buying freedom. You're not losing ease, you're buying excellence. And excellence always costs more than average. So if it hurts to let go, let it hurt. If it's uncomfortable to change, stay uncomfortable. If it feels lonely to grow, walk anyway. Because what you're becoming is worth what you're giving up. Success is on the other side of sacrifice, not someday, not magically, but directly connected to what you're willing to release right now. Let go, move forward, and don't look back. Pain will find everyone. The difference is what you do when it shows up. Some people run from it. Some people complain about it. Some people let it define them. But winners, real winners, learn how to use it. Pain is not the stop sign. Pain is the signal. It's the alert that something is changing, stretching, demanding more from you. And when you understand that, pain stops being a threat and starts becoming fuel. The same pain that breaks one person builds another. The same pressure that crushes one spirit sharpens another. The difference is not circumstance, it's mindset. Winners don't avoid pain because they know something most people don't. Pain carries information. It tells you where you're weak. It tells you where you're undisciplined. It tells you where you still need growth. And instead of numbing it, instead of hiding from it, winners lean in and listen. Pain says, pay attention. When you fail, pain teaches humility. When you're rejected, pain teaches resilience. When you're tired, pain teaches discipline. When you're uncomfortable, pain teaches growth. But only if you let it. Most people waste pain. They suffer and learn nothing. They hurt and repeat the same mistakes. They cry, complain, blame, and stay the same. Winners refuse to let pain be meaningless. They squeeze lessons out of every loss. They turn setbacks into setup. They let pain train them instead of traumatize them. That's why winners grow faster. Pain forces focus. When everything hurts, distractions fall away. You stop caring about nonsense. You stop chasing approval. You get clear about what matters. Pain simplifies life. It strips things down to what's essential, and clarity is powerful. Winners use pain to sharpen their priorities. They say, if I'm going to suffer anyway, let me suffer forward. If it's going to hurt, let it hurt for a reason. Let it hurt in the direction of purpose. Let it hurt while building something that lasts. Pain becomes fuel when you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can this grow me? That shift changes everything. Pain builds mental toughness when you stay present instead of panicking. It builds confidence when you survive moments you thought would break you. It builds faith when you realize you're still standing after the storm. Every time you endure pain without quitting, something inside you hardens, not your heart, but your resolve. Winners don't pretend pain doesn't exist. They acknowledge it. They feel it. They respect it. But they don't let it control them. They decide ahead of time, no matter how bad it hurts, I'm not backing down. That decision is what separates champions from spectators. Pain becomes fuel when you attach it to purpose. When you tell yourself, this hurt is shaping me for what I asked for. You wanted more responsibility, pain prepares you. You wanted higher standards, pain enforces them. You wanted a stronger mindset, pain develops it. Nothing strengthens character like sustained discomfort handled with discipline. And here's the truth that changes lives. Pain is temporary, but the strength it builds is permanent. Pain comes in seasons. Strength stays with you. Pain passes. Character remains. Winners understand this, so they don't fear pain. They respect it. They use it as a tool, as a teacher, as a test. They refuse to fail. They say, this is heavy, but I'm getting stronger. They say, this hurts, but it's not stopping me. They say, this is uncomfortable, but comfort never built anything great. Pain gives winners an edge because it teaches them endurance. And endurance creates confidence that no applause can give you. Confidence that comes from knowing you've been through fire and didn't burn. That's a different kind of power. So when pain shows up, and it will, don't waste it, don't numb it, don't curse it, use it. Let it push you to work harder, focus deeper, pray stronger, and commit fully. Turn pain into discipline. Turn discipline into consistency. Turn consistency into mastery. That's the formula. Winners don't wait for pain to leave before they move forward. They move because of it. They let pain remind them what's at stake. They let pain wake them up. They let pain fuel their hunger. Because at the end of the day, pain is inevitable, but growth is a choice. And if you choose to use pain instead of fear it, instead of avoiding it, instead of letting it break you,